Hello and welcome to a new lesson in Linux. In this lesson we will be talking about the IP tables. The Linux CentOS has an extremely powerful firewall built in, commonly referred to as IP tables. By default, IP tables is installed on the system, and to check this out you will type rpm -q IPtables, press enter, and it will appear for you the package of the IP tables that you have. Okay, now let's display the IP tables. I'll type IP tables minus capital L and press enter. As you see here, there are three chains. You have the input chain and the forward chain and the output chain. The input chain is all of the incoming packets to the system, and the forward chain is all of the packets routed by your computer if you are using it as a router. And here the output chain is all of the outgoing packets from the system. Now let's display the rules of the IP tables, or the rules that are set in the IP tables. I will type IP tables -m -l, and it must be a capital L, and press enter. And this will display for you any IPs in the source and in the destination, and the rule or the target, accept, or if you want to reject, or we will talk about the rules after a bit. But here you can't see any IPs because I haven't yet set any rules. You can see the rules in another way. You will type IP tables. It will display it with more information or more details, numbers, and then -m capital L. Let's enter. As you see here, displayed the same rules or rule set, but with a better way. It listed it in numbers. You have in the chain input from 1 to 5 rules, and chain forward there's only one rule, and the output there's only one rule, and the source and the destination. There is another way to view the rules of the IP tables, or check or edit IP table rules from the file of, or the configuration file of the IP tables itself, from vi etc sys config, and then IP tables, and press enter. And from here you will see the rules listed in front of you, and any other rules that you will add from the command line will be automatically added in this file here. I'll get out now. Okay, now in a previous lesson we learned how to allow or deny shell access from specific IPs. Let's see how to allow or deny an IP by using IP tables. I'll clear the page first, and let's display the details of the IP tables. -n and then capital L. Okay, now first of all I would like to add my rule to be here number 4, and I will add a rule to deny a specific IP from accessing shell. and I will have to do it to make the deny rule before the accept rule, because the Linux, if it finds in the order the accept before the deny or the reject, it will not see the reject command, it will only make the accept command. So I will make the drop command or the reject command before the accept command, so that the Linux will then apply it. And I will only manage to make the drop command before this accept here, because this accept here refers to the rule that I am allowing any IP to access shell. So I must make the drop rule before this accept rule, not any accept rule, only this one here. So to do that, I will type the command IPtables minus I, and then input, and you must type input in capital letters, 4 minus S, the IP number, minus P, ECP, then 2 dashes V, 4, and the fourth number, minus J, and then drop. Now this command here, the first thing, IPtables, which refers to the IPtables that we are in here, and then the input means that I will make this rule in the input chain, and minus S is the source, which is the IP that we will deny from accessing shell over here. Minus P is the protocol, and that it's using the protocol TCP. Minus minus dash port, this is the port that you are specifying here, 3212. Minus J is the target, and the target is drop. And this command means, so by this command I have prevented this IP from accessing shell. And one more thing in the command here, the number 4 refers to the number of line that I will add this rule in, and this minus I is the name or the command for the line 4. So when I add this rule in line 4, this means that line 4 will be number 5, and the drop command will be before the accept command, and that's what we want, so that the Linux see the drop command before the accept command. So now I'll press enter. Okay, it seems there's a little bit of a mistake over here. I will type the command one more time. And I'll press enter. Okay, now we will save. I'll type the command service IPtables, save, and press enter. Now it has successfully saved to this file here. Let's clear the page and view the rule that we have just added. And It's capital M, and press enter. As you see over here, the rule that we have just added has been number 4, and the rule which is accept has moved down to be number 5, and the IP. Now let's try to access shell from this IP here. I will try accessing shell now from the query here. And here I'll enter the ports number. Try to open. As you see here, an error message has occurred. Network error, connection timed out. I'll get back to the shell. And as you have seen, we could not access shell by the IP that we have just blocked over here. Okay, now let's see how to delete a rule from the IP table. I will display the IP tables. And I would like to delete the rule that I have just made here, the drop rule, which has the number 4. So I will type the commands IPtables -d input 4, and notice that you must type input in a capital letter, and 4 is the number of the line that you want to delete. Now I'll press enter. I will save the file. Press enter. Saved. Now let's display files again. As you see here, it has been removed from number 4, and it got back to its normal. The accept is number 4. Now let's see how to restore a backup file for an IPtable IPtables rules. I will clear the page, and I will get to the directory cd et sys config. There is a small mistake in the comment. Press enter. Now I will display all of the IPtables files, and just type ipt and install. Here I have 4 files with the name IPtables, the config, the IPtables old, and the IPtables save. Let's display the contents of the file IPtables old. From here you can find in this file the default rules of the IPtables, all of them listed over here, without any of the changes on the rules that you have made. You can always restore this default file back to, or restore the rules of the default IPtable file to be the rules of the IPtables. But let's see how to make a backup file for the IPtables if you want to change a rule or two, and you want to back up the changed or save the changes in another file. Okay, now I will type this command here, cp IPtables, and then IPtables dot back. And what I'm doing here is that I will take a copy from the IPtables file, and this copy will be a backup in another file named iptables.back in case I want to restore the rules in the backup file for any reason. And we will see how to restore the backup file after a while. Now I will press enter. Now say you have changed some of the rules in the IPtables and you want to restore back its original or its default rules, or restore back the rules from the backup file that you did. You will type the command IPtables -restore and then the smaller than sign /etc sy config slash and then the name of the backup file iptables.back, and here as you see is the path of the backup file. This path may be any other path. In here you type the path first and then the name of the backup file, and I'll press enter. And by this command here you have restored all of the rules in this backup file to the IPtables file. Now let's see how to block an IP. I'll clear the page. Now to block an IP you will type IPtables -A and then input -S 192.168.1.15. For example, here I have typed the IP that I want to block -J and then the target drop, and this means that you will block this IP from connecting to any of your services like the shell, the FTP, the mail, anything. It will block it totally from accessing anything, and you press enter and then you will save. Let's display the file. And here you see is the rule that we have just did, the drop rule, and all of the services and all protocols and the IP that we have entered. Now let's see how to block outgoing traffic. Now let's see how to prevent any user on the system from browsing a website, for example like www.facebook.com. But first let's get its IP. I will use the command ping and then type www.facebook.com and press enter. Now press Ctrl C, and I have pressed Ctrl C because if you don't it will keep on moving with the ping process, so you must press Ctrl C to stop it. And here is the IP of the website facebook.com. So the first way to ban or deny a user from accessing a website, you can make it with the IP number, and this will be the command IPtables -A output and then -P TCP -D and then the IP's number Here it will be 31.13.86.49 minus J and then the target clock. And here, as you can see, I have added it in the output, and I will press enter. By that, I have banned or denied any user on the system to access this website from the IP. There's another way to do that by the website's name, the same command, but here I will not type IP, I will type www.facebook.com and press enter. And there is a third way to ban it, and it's with typing the website's name but without www, and I'll press enter. Now let's see why I have did the command once with www and once without the www. If I ping on facebook.com without adding a www and press enter, as you see, it resulted in a different IP than the one with www. So by the way I have did it, I have denied the users from accessing Facebook from this IP and from this IP. Now let's display the IP tables. And as you see, here are the rules that we have just did, and the domain name here is translated to IP, the destination. Here are the IPs, and as you see here, the rules are under the output chain. Now I would like to delete the first rule here, so I will type the command IPtables minus capital D and then output and then the lines number 1 and press enter. I display it again. As you see, the second one has been translated to number 1 and number 2, and the one that we have deleted does not exist here. And I will save by the command service IPtables save, and by that we have learned and talked about the IP tables. Thank you for watching and see you in the next